I think that we are recording now. So good evening and thank you everybody for joining tonight's virtual meetup. This is the Wealth Mindset and Real Estate Investing Meetup. I am going to give us a brief introduction here tonight for our meetup. We have a very special guest, but before we get into that, for those of you who do not know me, who are watching this live, or those of you who are going to be watching the recording, my name is Chris Price. I'm the host of the Wealth Mindset and Real Estate Investing Meetup. I'm also the CEO and co-founder of Red Fox Multifamily, and also yeah, a partner at Boost Capital Group. Tonight, we are joined by Khalil Uqdah. He is going to talk to us about discovering your life path through the vehicle of real estate. And I'll share a personal my recent personal connection with Khalil in a moment. But before we get into those specifics, I want to make sure that we take a moment to recognize the sponsors of this program. So first and foremost, the Wealth Mindset and Real Estate Investing Meetup welcomes all individuals interested in building generational wealth through passive real estate investing and enhancing their financial intelligence. Our community is tailored for busy professionals and retirees from diverse industries. Members typically enjoy a comfortable living income with discretionary funds for real estate investing, yet they lack the time, expertise, or network to execute at scale. So you're joining us here to cultivate a wealth mindset, learning strategies to build and preserve wealth while fostering an abundance mentality. Our discussions delve into multifamily real estate investing and other proven methods to grow wealth through passive real estate investments. And this meetup is sponsored by Red Fox Multifamily. Red Fox Multifamily specializes in assisting professionals in the pharmaceutical and life science industries to diversify their portfolios, generate passive income, and enjoy the benefits of real estate investing without the need of active involvement. Our approach involves collaborating with passive investors to acquire commercial multifamily real estate, leveraging vetted opportunities sourced from our trusted network of top operators in prime markets nationwide. By partnering with Red Fox Multifamily, investors can enjoy a hands-off investment experience, allowing them to earn passive income, build equity, and benefit from tax advantages, all while investing in an asset backed by a real vehicle, which is real estate. So just in terms of logistics for tonight, we always ask for folks to mute their lines when they're not speaking, ask for questions to be held to the end of the presentation unless the speaker invites questions. We want to let everyone know that this presentation is being recorded. This material does not constitute an offer or solicitation to purchase securities. And then this is just for information purposes only and should not be construed as business, financial, or legal advice. And so, just the last little bit of logistics here for anyone that's looking to connect with me. Please do shoot me an email at chris@redfoxmultifamily.com. I love talking to people about real estate and and what's going on, what they're interested in, how we might be able to partner together. Please do feel free to reach out to me at chris@redfoxmultifamily.com. And so, in terms of our logistics, our agenda for today, we are going to have a brief speaker introduction. Then our speaker will take us through a little bit of a presentation, and then we'll have some time for Q&A, and if time permits, we'll have a little bit of time for some virtual networking as well. But first, yeah, let me introduce everyone to Khalil Uqdah, who again is going to talk to us this evening about discovering your life path through the vehicle of real estate. But before I get into that, Khalil and I were introduced by a mutual friend and connection in this real estate business. And Anthony, I met last fall during an event, and he says, "Oh man, I know a fantastic young man I've been working with, and I think you guys would just be you have to connect." And so he connected us via email. We started up an exchange, and just had a good opportunity to kind of talk about how which ways we can at least start our connection, if you will. And lo and behold, I'm just really grateful for Khalil, for you to be here tonight to spend some time with us to share your story, your background with all the folks in our community, so that they can learn a lot more about Charm City buyers, which I'll get into right now. This is your intro here. So discovering your life path through the vehicle of real estate is a captivating talk that explores the intersection of personal growth and real estate investment, focusing on the unique journey of Khalil Uqdah, who is the co-founder of Charm City Buyers. This talk will delve into how individuals can find purpose and fulfillment by leveraging real estate as a tool for their self-discovery and achievement. Through the lens of his experiences, attendees, we're expecting everyone to have an opportunity to learn about this transformative power of real estate investment, unlocking, some insights into financial freedom, which we talk a lot about here, talk a lot about community building and just personal fulfillment that real estate can bring you. So this is really intended for those, whether you're a seasoned investor or whether you're someone who's new to this. We like to bring in, inspirational people on like Khalil to come and share about their journey so that you can learn and take some insights as well. So without further, Khalil, I will stop sharing my screen here and just say thank you again for joining us, and look forward to learning more about you through this vehicle. And you are on mute.
Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate the chance to be here and have a conversation with you, with your audience, and anybody who's interested in the real estate, right? The ability to take something, build it, transform it, leverage it, keep it, pass it down. I mean, it's such an incredible opportunity for so many people that I live, breathe, and eat it. Maybe not eat it, but I love everything about it. So again, my name is Khalil Uqdah, co-founder of Charm City Buyers. I'll take you through my life a bit and then share some insights along the way with the goal of hopefully reaching you at some point where your journey is now and helping you to get to whatever that next step is for you. Whether that's buying your first property or even just a few Google searches to see where your market is now and where your industry is, or even bigger, right? I'm born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland, Baltimore. Not so bad area. We moved really quickly, and then went to public school until eighth grade, and private school from ninth to 12th. Graduated from Lehigh University with my business management and economics degree, and then Towson University with my MBA in finance. Um, I met my wife because I ran track and field for Lehigh, and she ran track and field for Lafayette College, rival school about 30 minutes away, maybe 20. And at the time, I was taking a bus back and forth, and my grandmother gave me her 1994 Chevy Cavalier. This was 2010 ish. I was just trying to make it work, right? Just making the dollar stretch as much as I could. But I knew a couple of things. I knew that I was entrepreneurial. My father imparted in me the idea that if you have to work with your hands, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you can work behind a desk at a computer, do it. And one step further, own the company. And I remember him saying that profoundly. And I watched my parents do some entrepreneurial things. At one point, we had a corner store here in the city, and then my mom had a nursing home where we had a patient come in and inside of our house, and she took the bedroom, but that was okay. Sharing a room with my older brother was perfectly fine at the time. Um, After I graduated from college, I came back home and I knew I needed to do something entrepreneurial. you can sacrifice for long enough. You can pretend about who you are and what your true calling is for a little bit of time, especially while you're younger. But eventually, the truth comes out. And the truth about me and who I am is that I need that freedom. There's something about the ability to just move how I need to move and think how I need to think, and not having to adapt to other people's energies and other people's influences, that allows me to be my best self. I think that resonates with a lot of entrepreneurs. So that ability to be free was profound for me. I sold candy in middle school, and we had a small little entertainment business in high school where we took the Baltimore club music that was popular at the time, and kind of still is. And instead of folks driving into the city to experience that, we would use the Walmart model, which I didn't realize was the Walmart model at the time, but we would take it out to the county, and we would rent a venue, and we would have security, and we would get a DJ, and we would sell tickets, and we would make it really, really cool, and folks would come in from Western Maryland, from Southern Maryland, from a bunch of different places when I was in high school. Um, it's that entrepreneurial mindset, that freedom, that ability to like really shape your own future is something that stuck with me. So when I moved back home with close to nothing, barely any money, not even enough to fill up a gas tank, and recent college grad, but I had an internship that converted to a full-time job. Again, this was 2010. I was making $35,000 a year on a salary. Wasn't a lot of money. I was working in an HR department, just doing data entry and processing, and but if you remember 2008, for those of you who recall, it was right after the crash. So finding a job, any job, recent college grad was like, okay, let's take it, especially a paid one, just to get started, just to keep something going. Moved back home, shared a room with my brother, drove this bum car, um, and on a $35,000 salary, I was disciplined. I was disciplined. I did not wanna go out with my friends at the time because I hadn't seen them in a while anyway, so it was like, let's catch up a little bit, but things are a little different now. I didn't spend a lot of money, and my girlfriend was in college, so I wasn't going out partying and doing a bunch of crazy stuff. So, on that $35,000 salary, over 18 months, I was able to save 25,000 bucks. 25,000, and I
Incredible.
took that money and I kept it, and I held, and I took $5,000 and I bought an engagement ring. Um, so that I knew what the plan was, right? It was already written. And so when my wife graduated and she moved to Connecticut, great job in a leadership development program and a Fortune 500 company and publicly traded and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, well, you've got this job and I've got this HR department, 100 employees and data entry. I'll quit my job and I'll drive up and we'll figure it out. And when I drive up, I propose, we move in, and after a few weekends of going out and getting reacquainted, um, we looked at each other one day and we said, "Hey, like this can't be all. I mean, we did this in college. We're not going to party Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and like, what's next? What's that next big thing?" And we looked at a few different things, and they didn't pan out, and we didn't really dive too deep into them. But then real estate came up, and we kind of looked at each other and said, "Well, I don't have a background in it. I don't have a history in it. Construction, real estate, development. I don't know anything about this, but I'm passionate about it. I want something that I can touch. I want assets. I need that freedom." So we agreed. Let's absolutely do it. We took our cash, 20,000 from me. She had about six. And we bought our first property, and it was a 3-unit shell in Hartford, Connecticut, where we had no experience, no friends, no family, but we were young and ambitious, and that Division One athlete came out of us, both of us. Um, um, and I'm thinking about being an athlete. But anyway,
No,
so
I'm actually glad, Khalil. I want to pause you because that I was actually going to drill down on that, because I'm actually I'm someone who was a college athlete also, and I went to Marist College for my undergrad, and so I played football there, and we played Lafayette. And I always joke with people who know, who will be watching this. we played Lafayette, and one of the biggest hits I've ever received in my entire college football career was a linebacker when I was a freshman jumping into a linebacker's arm at Lafayette University and getting drilled. But that's a whole nother story there. But I wanted to ask you that question about how athletics had played a role in your discipline and your tenacity as an entrepreneur combined with all the other things. Talk a little bit about that.
Thank you. Yeah, no, and that's where I was trying to think of, do I want to go that direction? So thank you for bringing that up and digging deeper into it. Man, being an athlete, there's nothing like it. There is nothing like it. I think it teaches so many skills that non-athletes have to learn a different way. Um, so for me with track and field, it's and there's no shade to any other sport out there, but track and field is such a fundamental sport. Now I was a pole vaulter, so it was a little bit different, but we still had to do a lot of laps and running and distance and all that type of stuff training. But you don't get a chance to take a break. Right? You don't have a ball to distract you or a teammate to rely on, or it's you out there on that track running in circles over and over and over again. And you're getting better and better and faster, but you don't see those changes for a while. And for pole vault, it's 1 inch higher, 2 inches higher, 3 inches higher. Um, and again, you're in the weight room, you're working hard, you're trying to work on your technique and your form, you're studying the videos of record breakers, but you don't really feel those changes immediately. Um, so it's one of those things, man, where if you're an athlete and you can discipline yourself, if you can control yourself and control your body and control your intake, your food, your sleep, your regiment, the world is your oyster. You can control anything, right? It starts with that discipline, that self-discipline, and that delayed gratification, and being able to see so far into the future that you know that those micro steps are going to get you there. Today, I probably took about 3 years off from working out, any kind of cardio or working out or anything. Today, I'm back in the gym consistently, and I realized in my later years that how important it is, right? Being able to physically move those weights, especially as a man. And I'm not trying to make any kind of gender conversation here, but as a man, being able to physically move weights and being able to feel yourself feel stronger and tougher and walk into a room with your chest high and just like that you are a dominant force. You've got that masculine energy. It's just something for me that at this point in my life, I will always be in the gym, right? I have to commit to it because it's the mental health, it's the physical health, it's your appearance, it's how you look, it's how you feel, it's how you present. You know what I'm talking about, Chris.
Couldn't agree with you more. That it's become a part of it's a part of me and who I am at this point in my life. Just that routine of being able to. It's just like brushing my teeth, as the way I like to put it for folks. And like you weaving that into my day. And I actually use it as a way to start my day to get some fitness and some movement in to get the day going before the rest of the day gets takes over my agenda. I can then focus on what I need to do.
Exactly, exactly, and starting your day with it, you don't get any better. Fortunately, I was able to get into the gym this morning. So anyway, we bought our first property. It was a show. We didn't know what we were doing. We networked really well. I was remember standing up at these RIA meetings, real estate investors associations, and going up to the front with a bunch of printed out flyers saying, "Hey, I've got the deal of the century for you for only $35,000." Remember, I paid about 26. I can give you this property and it's in the area and we got this plan outlined and I can connect you with the contractor and people are like, oh, okay, cool. It sounds like a great deal. It's a multi. Okay, where is it? 3 units? I was like, it's in Hartford. Well, what part of Hartford? Well, North End. And they're like, North End, that's we don't go over to the North End. And that's what we faced week after week, month after month. And we were like, wait a second, we probably should have known where we purchased this property. But being from Baltimore, I walked over there and I was like, huh, this ain't so bad.
Right.
so, so fast forward, we had to keep it. Nobody wanted it, so during one of during one of my pitches, a lender came up to me and his nonprofit lending arm was committed to this specific area. That's why they were formed. They wanted to rehab, revitalize properties in the area. And they're part of what's called the Opportunity Finance Network. It's a network of CDCs and CDFIs where capital is provided and research and different types of things. There's 200 plus in every major city, I would say. But part of this Opportunity Finance Network, Hartford Community Loan Fund was able to provide us with a loan to fix up the house. Two fresh kids, $120,000 rehab, fully occupied, cash flowing well. Those numbers were great. Our PITI was about 1,200 bucks a month, and we were cash flowing about 2,600 bucks a month. So,
Nice.
the first deal worked. We didn't,
Nice.
most people are like, if as long as you don't lose on your first deal, you're good. But if you're winning on your first deal, fantastic.
That's right.
We
That's
had a
right.
brand new building. Yeah, a brand new building. It was cash flowing well, and we posted it on Facebook, and people were like, "Oh man, what are you doing? How are you doing that? You don't have a background in this. What's going on?" And then we got pregnant, and then we came back home, and I had this whole plan in Hartford, Connecticut, because I could see it. There were so many multis on that same block and the other blocks, and I had this network now. I have the contract. I've got the financing. Oh man, we're gonna take over. Right? No distractions, no friends, no family, no. And I got all the energy in the world because I'm young. Let's
Yes.
go. And Allah, God, Jehovah, Buddha, said, "You know what? Here you go. It's time for you to have a child and bring a child into the world." And it's a beautiful thing. And my daughter is beautiful, and I love her so much. Um, and we came back home because we wanted to be near friends and family and everything. And we bought another property. This next property we did not purchase with our cash, although we saved up enough money from that first one's that cash flow because we were still working full-time jobs for both of us. But this next property, we were able to sell or finance it. So we made the seller hold on to half of the note, and then we found a some private money within our network to pay the other half. So we didn't have to come out of pocket anything for the second property. We put a little money into the rehab, maybe 10 or 15,000 bucks. It was a few blocks from Johns Hopkins Hospital. We put a tenant in there, and that one cash flowed well too. Not quite as well, but still well. It was a single family building. Our PITI on that one was about 680 bucks. We were charging them about 1,200 bucks in rent, so it's cash flowing well. And we documented on Facebook again. And people are like, wait a second, wait a second, wait a second. You got this first one in Connecticut. Okay, I thought that was a fluke. Now you're doing it again. You got 4 units and you're 25. What's going on? And you're working full time still, and you're in grad school, and you just got married, and you got a kid. Hey, hold on, something's happening here that I wanna take part of. And we got enough phone calls and text messages and emails from our friends and our family and our network that we said, wait a second, let's formalize something here. And that was on the heels of looking around the Baltimore landscape, and at the time, there were 15,000 vacants. And we said, "We can't do them all. It's just not possible. But if we can duplicate ourselves, we can really make a huge impact in this city." So we found a need and we niched down into the Baltimore market, and we learned as much as we could about the permit process and how to get things done and who the players are and what new developments are happening and how to structure deals and managing contractors. And this is over a multi-year period. A lot of trial and error. We hit our head a lot. We cut our teeth. We paid the school of hard knocks, and
Sure.
we formed Charm City Buyers. And with Charm City Buyers, it's a vertically integrated real estate development firm where we educate and we perform real estate development, typically residential, but we do commercial also. Under our umbrella, we have a non for profit entity, we have a construction firm, and we have a consultant firm. Through our nonprofit, we do our development deals, and it's a vertically integrated engine. So folks can come to us, they can learn from us, they can get their contracting from us. We can help them raise capital, and then we can help them make sure that their deals are solid and they're performing and that they are on a scalable path.
This is
Um,
incredible. This is Khalil. So I mean, I'm like sitting here, I'm taking notes, and I have so many things to go on. And then, first, that that decision that you and your wife had to make at that time where, the ball, literally the snowball is starting to form and traction is gaining, and then, to have the blessing of your daughter and to pivot from the market of Hartford where you thought you were getting ready to dominate to then pick up and say, you know what, let's go be closer to family and friends and back in Baltimore, and then repeat the process all over again, and you have this magical, you've duplicated success in another space now. So that is really interesting, and taking advantage of opportunity zones and special financing and those types of things. I'd love to, maybe as we go through this, you talked about different other types of financing strategies, also like seller financing, which is something that is so very important, especially in this high interest rate environment that we're in right now, for people to think of. But you guys had some really savvy strategies for what people would generally consider newbie or rookie investors, but you're doing some pretty sophisticated stuff. Talk a little bit about, if you could, just briefly, about how you obtained all this knowledge. Was it just being right place, right time? Was it the RIA? How did you piece all this together?
It was a little bit of everything, but, in my personal opinion, it was just Allah allowing me to walk through my path. So the RIA was absolutely helpful. We found some mentors who just kind of met with us, when whether they were paid to help us with the closing and shed a little bit of advice there, or they were a contractor doing a walkthrough, and they point a few things out, and we say, okay, let's hold on to that knowledge. We learn every single step of the way. It was at no point, and even today, at no point do I do something where I'm not learning. And that's so critically important as you continue to scale and grow and level up. Always be hungry, always be thirsty, always ask questions. You're never too experienced to ask questions. So when we learned about the seller financing technique, I got it. That was 12 years ago, but maybe it was at a RIA. We thought, okay, well, let's put this in our arsenal, and eventually we'll ask the question. So when that second property came to us, we said, it was an auction, and they wanted 34,000, I think, maybe 36. And we went to them and said, well, it's an auction, so you never know what you're gonna get, but we'll give you the full price if you hold on to half of the note. And the property was free and clear. We had done our research. Excuse me. We knew that there was no debt on it, because there was a certificate of satisfaction. Excuse me. And when we pitched it, the seller was like, "Okay, that makes sense. So 3 years, pay me monthly payments, and then we'll release the loan after the 3-year period." And fortunately, we had started posting enough where we were able to attract a private money from a friend, and say, "Hey, you got some money. You're up in New York doing big things. I need 17 grand. Are you in?" And we were able to pay them a dividend, and until we paid them off. Um, and we still had the asset free and clear, right? So now we've got cash flow properties, two of them. One of them's free and clear. We were able to quickly scale up to 28 units before my wife left her full-time job and I left mine. Um, and then I humbled myself and I went back to work. But this time, instead of going to work for like a recruiting agency, which I did, or a nonprofit, which I did, I went to work for a developer, because I wanted to learn some big boy tactics and big girl tactics. Um, and I learned about pro formas and financial modeling and grants and tax credits and all new markets and all these different complicated, complex, but attainable strategies. And in 3 years, I was able to leave there and infuse it into our business. Um, so fast forward today, we are working on some pretty significant projects. I've got 3.2 acres of land down in Baltimore City, where I have what's called an exclusive negotiating privilege. And what that allows me to do is have the exclusive rights for a 12-month period to say, I'm the only one who can do work on the site. I'm the only one who can purchase this, but give me 12 months to figure out what we can do. So we're working on that now. We're looking at building 60 townhouse units along with a community center. Super excited about that project.
Wow.
It's relatively in its infancy stage, but I do think that that one is going to be a fantastic project for us. Additionally, we are building a multifamily building. So we have a one-story building currently. It's a 7-Eleven along with a parking lot, and we are going to tear that building down. We're going to build this multifamily building that you see in front of your screen here, and we're going to transform the parking lot into a park, an open space, a 13,000 square foot park. And we're partnering with a developer on this. The developer already owns it. He brought us in so that we can leverage our expertise and our creative skills to help bring it to life. 7-Eleven signed an LOI, and I'm saying these terms. I'm assuming that folks know, but let me know if you need me to pause and
Yeah,
explain
yeah.
any of them.
Hey, no investor or no listener left behind. So, LOI, letter of intent, and we're talking about development deals here, and a great market in Baltimore, Maryland, and so I think other terms that we might have covered. We already described the seller financing, which I think is really great, just as a brief commercial here, because that's so important, which is about, being able to have your terms, but their price, because terms are really where the money is made. And you were able to get an asset free and clear throughout this with probably very little money out of your pocket with a quick cash flowing asset. So again, super what you're talking about is very sophisticated, very thoughtful real estate investing, you utilizing other people's money and resources to help you build and scale a portfolio to what I think you said 28 units at that point in time in your young career in real estate.
Yep.
Incredible, Khalil. This is really great stuff to now to fast forward to where you're showing us now to you are doing some pretty incredible development work, and I think being able to maybe share a little bit about the work and the research that you guys have done to be able to get into the networks of the folks here, that you are able to bring these projects to life. I think is important in terms of what how does one even get to a place where they have the opportunity to look at the types of projects that you're looking at right now.
Great question, and I definitely want to answer that, and I will. The last one I want to quickly share that we're working on is a more immediate project. This one we're gonna sorry that last one we're gonna break ground in Q1 2025. We're going through our approvals and our final design and a few different things. This one probably my first large real estate deal that I had ownership in. We're breaking ground over the summer. So we are this one will be 54 townhouses, and we're about 3 blocks away from Johns Hopkins Hospital. Really excited for this deal. It's a land development deal, which means we're developing the land, the infrastructure we're putting in. So your wet utilities like your plumbing, your sewer, your dry utilities like your electrical. We have to do curb cuts. We have to install tree pits for trees. We've got to put in ADA accessible ramps. We've got to relocate a bus stop. There's a bunch of different pieces of this, but being able to name a community in Baltimore City and create new roads and streets and pathways and 54 for sale houses, both market rate as well as affordable, is something that like this is the path, this is the journey, and we would not have been able to stumble on this had we not. To answer your question, be disciplined, be focused, be locked in, connect well, be humble, ask the right questions, continue to grow and scale, and take the knowledge and let it snowball on top of itself. Um, I think one of the biggest keys is to just commit um, all in. You gotta like for us, it's something that we live, breathe, and eat. And I'm on the real estate side, the construction side, development side of our business. But there's a whole nother side of our business. Going back to when we first got started and we saw the landscape and all these vacant properties and all these people asking us questions. where part of your success is how you treat others, right? How you help others grow in their own success and their own wealth. Um, I think the famous philosopher Sean Carter, Jay Z, Hove. I think he said something
Yeah.
to the effect of like you're only as wealthy as the people next to you, right? If you're the only billionaire, then what are you doing? I don't know the exact quote. I'll pull it up in a second because man, hip hop man raised me, bro. Um, but it's true. If you're the only millionaire in the room, then you're not really rich, bro. If you're not surrounded by a crowd of people who can push you and influence you and help you grow, you're not really doing it. So collaboration is huge for us. So
Yeah.
when we formed Charm City Buyers, part of that mission was to educate folks. We talked about the real estate development side. Proud of that, more proud of the education. So, using social media, using making Baltimore cool, using popularity and all that kind of stuff, we've amassed a pretty considerable following. I think across our social media platforms, we're about 100,000 people. Got a pretty strong email list, maybe about 50,000 there. Um, and um, and what we do is my wife really, she's the operator and the brains of it and the visionary for that side of things. Really allowing folks an opportunity to build wealth by shortening the learning curve and demystifying real estate development for smaller developers in Baltimore City. Um, Baltimore City, very specific. The principles are applicable everywhere, but we niche down because we know this area, we know this market, we know what's happening, we know the players, and we can help people as much as possible. So today, from 2020 to 2023, we've got a group coaching program that about 1,000 people are in, and those folks have purchased about $30 million. Sorry, invested about $30 million in Baltimore City properties, and that's full total development cost. It's called TDC. So that's acquisition, that's construction costs, that's your carry costs, they're all in. And I'll pull up a map in just a second to show where folks are buying. Of course, we have to data mine and we have to pull those facts out because it's helpful as we're walking into offices where the next level of our journey has gone. Um, and we take that data and that information, and again, we build on top of it. So when we walk into the rooms of our local political friends, business leaders, foundations, Department of Housing and Community Development, all these different offices, we can say we've got a product that's working, we've got a program that's working, we've got a track record, and where we show consistent growth in our portfolio over a considerable amount of time. Um, uh, how do we continue to build it together, right? Because we have a problem, everybody, right? Public officials and leaders and everything, we have a vacancy problem, which breeds crime and public safety issues and a lack of investment and a declining population. So an increasing tax base is it's all of these things, but we can reverse it if we make small investments into people who want to make the change and are trained and vetted and able to. Um, to the tune of capital being raised and grants being provided, which is another kind of OPM strategy, other people's money, um, where we leverage tons of grants and tax credits to make our deals work, but also to provide opportunities for folks to win. Through our nonprofit this past year, we raised about $600,000 towards some of our projects, 1.1 million in total for one of the projects. Just being able to position ourselves and our folks and all the people who believe in us and believe in themselves really to win.
I think that's just it's very remarkable the fact that yes, you have your successful development and construction business, both in residential, getting into some other spaces and commercial, doing some very transformative things in the community that you are from, which I think is from any investor, anyone out there who has the opportunity to go back home and to leave and to make an impact and to literally point, drive by something that they have had a direct impact in constructing and putting up where people are benefiting from their community is absolutely remarkable. And then to then reinvest not only in the community in terms of its overall construction and development and what it literally looks like, feels like, etc. You guys are also helping to educate others to help them take this business of real estate and do some things on their own to continue to grow and scale. I mean, this is a remarkable thing that you guys are doing, and it is certainly a model that I hope others out there that end up listening to this and are hearing and inspired by you can do this within their communities as well to make a lasting impact. It's big shout out to you and your wife for the great work that you guys are doing.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And look, I'm telling all the good now, but of course there were a lot of hard times, a lot of tears, a lot of arguments, a lot of right trying to figure it out and disciplining ourselves, all that type of stuff. It wasn't always easy, but
Of
it
course.
certainly is worth it. No question about it. And the demographics of the folks who we typically attract are typically people who look like us, right? So we're typically attracting Black people through our messaging, mostly women because Kiara's the face of it. So we got a lot of Black women who are buying properties. And in front of you here is a map of a self-reported map of the different areas where folks are purchasing through our program. And what's really cool is that, so I'll back up a little bit. The green circles are densities of 9 and less, and the yellow circles are densities of 10 and more, so we can kind of have an idea of where everybody's purchasing. And what's really cool is that when we zoom in, and for example, these, you got two properties here, four here, right? So if one of these folks have a person who's cutting their grass or shoveling snow, they can share those resources. Or they're all likely part of the same community association, so they can all go to the community association meeting together or talk to the local council person together and have that strength in numbers once they know who they are and how everybody's being affected by whatever policy or changes or sewer or lack of trash collection or whatever. The new grocery store, the new corner store coming in. Um, I mean, it's a remarkable network at this point of folks. And what's really dope is that we've been able to tell the city officials. The mayor knows about us. The council president knows about us. The department about Wes Moore, our governor, right? We he knows about us and what we're up to. And folks are seeing what's happening and they see the decline in vacancy over years. And they're attributing part of it to what we're doing. So, I've told folks I've walked into several meetings, and again, I'm always learning, I'm always asking, I'm always selling what we do. And I've told people like, look, we've got a fire going. We need gasoline to really make this thing like huge, so we can take what's happening and eliminate the vacancies and breathe new life into areas and communities and the city, and all with the lens of building wealth too, making sure that people eat and eat well, especially folks who historically have not eaten or have not had a seat at the table or lack the information. And we provide it all. We're an open book when it comes to that type of stuff, especially for those who are part of the program.
Yeah, I mean, when you talked a little bit about, the ups and downs of this, that is the real entrepreneurial journey, right? Like it is not all rainbows and butterflies as people say or people might think, and they see what you some of the things that you refer to a moment, the rooms that you're in, the people who know about what you're doing, the Westmores, the local city government, you have 100,000 followers across various social media platforms, a 50,000 person list for email. That doesn't happen just by mistake. Through the discipline, through the work that you guys have been doing, consistently over time. The aches, the pains, the tears, as you mentioned, are all what goes into this. And I think it's so important to say this, as someone who's going through an entrepreneurial journey myself, for others that I know who listen and follow what it is that we do, and will listen to you and hear you, and need this as their inspiration to say, just keep pushing, because there's so many there. I'm sure along the way there were so many reasons that you could say, you know what, let's just go back to being comfortable in our jobs, because that's just the way it is, and that's just it'll be easier that way than to continue to struggle. But clearly there's something more. There is something more that is inspiring you, that has guided you, that has put you two together to put you in this position to be able to continue to build and inspire and grow communities. I just I am of course I knew a little bit, but then to hear you tell it in your own words is really powerful. So I'm just I just got again, I'm just shouting you out, man, because this is just really amazing stuff. And the education aspect of it, I think, is just so powerful too, because the old adage of you can teach a man to fish, excuse me, is that resonates with me in this moment. This way people can learn this model, they can see what you can do, and they can go on and do it themselves.
That's exactly right. Thank you for recognizing that. I appreciate you articulating it. And like, yeah, we've been in some pretty cool spaces with really cool people, and we're in Forbes magazine and Black Enterprise and all these different spaces. But you're right, man. It's hard, and it's still hard today. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, just keep going, bro. You got this, kid. You can do this. Just get up and go.
Yeah.
And I have to kind of continue that journey. But it's an interesting feeling when you're on your path, when you really feel like you're on your path, and keeping it humble and all those good things. It doesn't feel like work. It just feels like you're just walking. As hard as it gets, and as complicated as the days can be, and you got to convince these people that you're not just some young kid who doesn't know what he's talking about. Um, Especially in an industry like this, where the majority of the industry is white men, overwhelming majority. Um, you kind of have to just keep on pushing. I remember I'll tell a few horror stories that'll be fun. So I remember we bought a house one time, and we walk through and we're looking at it like, oh, it looks good. The paint's good. We're checking the ceiling of the top floor. I don't see any water or anything on the ceiling. We go in the basement. Looks like the furnace and the hot water heater and everything are relatively new. They could be changed out in a couple of years. Appliances are working fine. We're like, okay, this seems like a really. I wonder why nobody wants it. So we buy it, and then we have our contractor come in afterwards, which should have had the contractor go in first. This is us being young and saying, hey, we know what we're doing. And within uh a day of our contractor going through, he turns on the water, and and the water isn't turning on. So we're like, well, maybe it's just the main line downstairs. We go downstairs. Okay, it was just the main line. They shut it off because it's winter time. They didn't want any pipes to break, whatever. So then he goes back upstairs in the kitchen and he turns it on. And when he turns it on this time, he pulls the faucet out, and we're like, "That's not supposed to happen." So then he goes underneath where the trap is, that little U-shaped
Yep.
thing, and he grabs that and he pulls it out. And we're like, "There's no plumbing behind the walls. They just
What?
stuck some plumbing in and made it seem like the house was like fully plumbed."
Oh my
Like,
goodness. Oh my
what is
goodness.
going on? What is
What?
happening right now? Within a week or two later, there started to be some spots on the ceiling of the top floor, where basically they knew the roof needed work, but instead of doing work to the roof, they painted it
Painted it.
to make
Oh
it
my
make
goodness.
it look like it had been done. Listen, I had a tenant one time who unfortunately she wasn't able to pay the rent, so we had to go through the eviction process, and we won the case, and she moved out and everything. So now we're looking for a new tenant, and we did our turnover work, and we repainted, and we did a bunch of different things. The new tenant moves in, they're happy, we're happy, move on to the next property. Um, then we get a call saying, "Hey, the pipes aren't flushing." Like, what do you mean the pipes aren't flushing? It was fine before. So we go over there, and sure enough, like, water is starting to come up through the sink, and the water, not just water, but like water, sewage, everything. And
Oh
we're like,
no.
what is going? Turns out the previous tenant was so pissed off at us that they put powdered concrete in the pipes.
Oh my goodness. That's a special type of human right there.
Bro, let me
Oh
tell
my
you,
goodness.
it takes a special type of rage and, like,
Yeah,
lack of control to do something like that.
yeah.
Like, what is going on? I mean, we've had our time with contractors and tenants and, even, like, lenders. I remember one time we were closing a deal, and we were excited because it was our first time doing the BRRRR strategy, and everybody who doesn't know BRRRR, you buy, you rent, you refinance, and you repeat, right? So the idea for the BRRRR strategy, for those who don't know, is basically like, it's a way to have an asset to pull cash out of that asset after it's stable, and then you can use that cash to continue buying more. And if you do it at scale, you can amount a pretty good amount of money. So it was our first time doing it. We're like, oh great, we're gonna, cash out maybe 10,000 bucks. It's not a lot, but at least we cash out something and we can put this into the next one. And like 3 days before the closing, this is a lender who we had never worked with before. There's tons of lenders out there. You never know who you're going to get. But 3 days before closing, they email us and they say, "Hey, I know like the appraisal looks good. You paid for that. Looks like everything's geared up for closing. Congratulations on refinancing out. Looks like the property's stable. The tenant is in a um but we forgot to tell you about this fee." We're like, an additional fee that we didn't know. Wait, what's going on?" He's like, "Yeah, it's a $12,500 fee." We were
What?
like, "Wait a second, hold." And it was like about 5% of the deal. Maybe it was a little bit less, 3% of the deal. I can't remember now, but I do remember thinking to myself, "Wait, so we went from like bringing $10,000 back out to now all of a sudden you got this mysterious administrative fee that's going to cost me money at closing."
Right.
And at that point in the game, we're 30 days through the DD process, the due diligence. We've already got everything set up and lined up. Like, we've already paid some money to have different, like the appraisal done and the home inspection done and all these types of things. So like we're not gonna pull out of the deal. We're a couple thousand bucks in, but to pull this over our eyes, like we'd never work with that lender again. We blasted them on social. We're like, it's just like
Wow.
this industry can be really, really tough and challenging. And when you don't know how to look for these things, you really don't know what questions to ask or how to move, and people will take advantage, no question about it.
Unbelievable. Yeah, those are definitely some horror stories, and I'm sure you have more than a few at this point and at this stage of the game. But in some cases, the people. That's why you invest with people like you who know what they're doing to deal with all those things, and make sure that you can help prevent those types of things from happening for future deals. But Khalil, I want to give you an opportunity maybe to share some other things. But before we move to the question aspect of things, I want to give you an opportunity to maybe share a little bit more about the rest of your story, if there's other elements that you want to share, and then we'll just drive into some questions that we typically ask those people who join the show.
Okay, cool, cool. That sounds good. Perfect. Thank you. So I've caught everybody up to kind of where we were, who we are now, and a little bit of where we're going with our future projects. But the next, we've been in this since 2012, so it's been 12 years. The next 12 years are going to look like exponentially better for us, and I feel blessed to even say that. I feel good about that. We are making the connections. We are executing on a lot of the hard work. We're reaping a lot of the fruit from the seeds that we have planted over time. So where I see Charm City buyers going is a few different directions. We're going to continue growing the portfolio. We're going to get bigger projects, more impact. We're going to be able to change communities and turn things around and continue on our path, both on the real estate side as well as folks who want to learn um, in the Baltimore market. Every time we grow and level up, we're able to teach it. So we learn rentals, we taught it. We learn flips, we taught it. We learn block projects, we taught it. We learn grants and tax credits and creative financing, we teach it. Now we're learning multifamily development, large scale construction projects, um, community developments. Pretty soon we'll be getting into, knock on wood, like grocery stores and retail and true commercial and warehouse space and all those types of things. And every time we learn it, we teach it so that folks can also learn it too. Whatever your specific space in real estate is, that's where we want to go. We've got some lofty goals and dreams. I think our program could be beneficial to other cities, potentially. So reaching out to folks who we know there who have a strong foothold, and then wrapping them around with the offering that we have. So we both have the local expertise as well as kind of that global purview. Other tertiary cities potentially, Richmond, Virginia, Cleveland, Detroit, cities like that. Um, and then just staying who we are. I think that's part of the journey too. Just maintaining the everyday, the staying in the gym, right? Waking up with the kids and making sure you have dinner at night. Kissing my wife goodbye and saying I love you. Just like maintaining those things that make me who I am and make us who we are as we continue growing and scaling and making our impact in this world in this short amount of time that we have on this planet.
Powerful. Thank you for sharing that. So I want to transition to the brief rapid fire sort of question section that we have for the speakers that we have on the show, and we it's just a great opportunity for people to get a chance to know you a little bit more, and for you to share a little bit about this. So one of the things that I love to do, my family and I, we love to travel. So I love to get great. This is a great opportunity for me to get travel ideas selfishly, if I'm being honest about it, but also just an opportunity for people to go to reminisce a little bit about their journeys throughout the world. So would you share a little bit about one of the best trips that you've ever taken, and why was that one of the best trips?
Man, that's such a good question. We do travel. If it were up to me, I probably wouldn't travel as much, nearly as much. But my wife loves to travel, and she loves like traveling with friends and finding good deals and all that type of stuff. So we've been quite a few different places. The one that I keep that pops up in my mind pretty consistently when I heard that question is we went to Ghana to Accra for Afrochella back in 2022, December 2022. And um, something just clicked, man. It was my second time being on the continent. The first time I was in high school, I went to Egypt. And this second time, it was like something just clicked, man. So we get there, and immediately I felt like I knew the rules. Sometimes in America, love being American. I love the U.S. Everybody has their problems, but I love it here. I really do.
Yeah.
Um, but sometimes here you can navigate the world like for months at a time, and you don't realize it until you go away, years at a time even, where you like, I don't really feel comfortable. There's that kind of underlayment of not feeling secure or safe or not knowing the rules, or maybe I shouldn't be doing something. When I got over there, I felt like I knew what to do, how to move, who to talk to, how to talk to them, and like it was all love.
Yeah.
There were times when my wife and I, and she's a beautiful woman, where we would be walking down the street, and a guy would look at me, he would look at her, look at me again, and just like extend his hand and say, "Good job, good job." I'd be like that doesn't happen here. That doesn't happen here. Most times, guys are like, and they try to look at her ass or something real
Yeah,
quick.
yeah, yeah.
It
Oh,
was just like that love, that respect. So after that trip, we had a blast. It was 15 of us and all kind of walks of life, and um, we went to the concerts and had a great time. Bought a lot of stuff and ate a lot of food. But afterwards, I stopped drinking. I have not had a drop of alcohol since. And it wasn't like it was something intentional. It wasn't something that I felt like I was overindulging or I didn't get in trouble DUI or it was just like I don't want to anymore.
Right.
I just I didn't, and I still don't. There's no temptation for me, and I really attribute it to being there. So that for me was one of the best trips. But we've been to China, different cities in China. We've been to Turks and Caicos recently, which was a blast. All up and down the U.S. and everywhere, Mexico and in London and Italy, and we had a lot of fun as we continue to. You got to whistle while you work.
Yeah.
Work hard, play hard.
For sure, though. That sounds like an amazing trip. I'm adding that to my list. All of those spots, for sure. I can definitely share in some of them, but that sounds like incredible trip. You shared a little bit about what you're working on these days, of some of those projects and some of the things that you have going on. What's that one that you're like, oh man, this one is gonna really help change things for us for in some way, but talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So ironically, it wouldn't be a real estate project, although that is going to change things for us. It's going to put us in a new light and in a new category throughout the city as people find out in news articles and various things. But I would say what's really going to change us is for a while for our group coaching program where we've got the students and they're doing great. Um, uh, for a while, for most of it, rather, it was a B2C model, so business to consumer, we would directly get in front of them through Facebook ads or social media or whatever, and that's how it worked. That's how the enrollment process worked. Um, Beginning of 2023, I went on like a 6-month campaign where I basically knocked on all the leadership doors and public officials and everything. And I said, hey, we've got this thing that works, and this is how it works, and the demographics and the metrics. But like 50% of people don't live in Maryland, and like 67 to 70% of people don't live. 70% of people don't live in Maryland. 50% of the people who are enrolled in the program don't live in the city. Um, but how cool would it be to have people who live in the city, invest in the city, be trained, and like provide some kind of scholarship so that they can join. So this past fall, we were able to host our first kind of like subsidized program where a small developer mastermind came together and we taught them everything we know over a six month period with the goal of not only the classroom learning, but now we're seeking capital to help folks do a project together where like one person takes the plumbing, one person takes the electrical, one person takes the drywall and the paint and the trim and then one person does the sale and one person does the acquisition, and we work through the entire process as a group so that not only are folks getting that classroom learning, the philosophy, that side of it, but they're also getting the hands-on. So now they're
Hmm.
fully trained to go out into the city and do it on their own and do it scalable. So that's a huge push for mine right now to be able to just take folks from where they are and wrap them around basically a year's worth of support, including flipping a house, and they benefit from it on the financial side once it sells, so that they're not only like knowledgeable, but they're incentivized to continue to do it more.
Absolutely. I love that. Um, One of the things, just so I want to make sure I get you on these last two, which are really important. One of the things that we talk about on this show in particular is financial freedom, and what that means to the individuals that come across the show. When you talk today, you talked about how you guys were following the typical playbook, right? You go to school, you get a good job, and you run your corporate career, and and then after 40 years, then you can sit back and retire, and then maybe watch it all, and enjoy the whole thing as the story goes. But we know that there's not a lot of truth to that. But you guys actually have accomplished financial freedom through your real estate investing and your portfolio supporting your lifestyle, and scaling and growing this business to where it is now, to where it's going. Talk a little bit about what does financial freedom mean to you?
financial freedom to me means peace. It means a level of peace that you can't feel until you get there. Being able to wake up and do what you want and do how you want it, and a lot of that revolves around still working. but um, but financial freedom really means the ability to just to live in a space where there's bliss, you're happy, you're at peace, and your bills are paid.
That's right. And then the last question, Khalil, is a bit similar but not the same, and it's about the name of this show. We when I always share the story with folks that when we created the name of this show, Wealth Mindset and Real Estate Investing, it was very intentional. When I was early in my entrepreneurial journey, I was learning a lot about wealth mindset and the ideas that created, and and to me it was really inspiring, and I wanted to make sure I could in a show use have a platform that could share very similar to what I was receiving and learning, and then be able to build on that. What does having a wealth mindset mean to you?
um, for me, a wealth mindset is a mindset where you're continuously learning. So a lifelong learner, I think, is a phrase that folks use. You're always growing. You're always working to not only like to not really do anything except become the best version of yourself. And then the byproduct is wealth. Um, uh, I think when people think of it, they think that the formula is switched, where like, oh, I got a mindset, and then all of a sudden you become disciplined, and then all of a sudden you have access to different rooms where you learn and grow and meet and connect, and it's completely the opposite. The wealth mindset starts with wanting to be literally the best version of who you are, from the little things, the little tweaks and changes to the big things, not waiting for the 1st to January, but just like starting immediately today, now.
That's right.
And that's that wealth mindset.
Well, that is, I love that answer. It's powerful. I appreciate you taking the time to just share with us this evening, and just provide so much value and so much great information and so much inspiration. Again, I am I was inspired before just knowing about you from previous, but even more so through how you sharing more and more about your journey. Would love for those who are watching live and for those who will be watching the recording as we share this, tell people how they can get in contact with you, whether they're looking to invest alongside of you in some of the projects that you're doing, or whether they're interested in tapping into your coaching program, either as a student or perhaps even trying to learn from your model and scale it into up their communities. How can people get in contact with you?
Yeah, so it's we got lucky and kept it really simple. First, thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate opportunities to just like bask in it, because we keep our head down and we work hard so much that we don't get a chance to really enjoy it, or talk about it, or humble brag about it. To get in contact, where we answer our DMs, we answer the messages. So hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. It's all Charm City Buyers. Our website, charmcitybuyers.com. Happy to respond to anybody who's interested in positive impacts in Baltimore City. Instagram is probably the space where we're most heavily involved. We got a team of people. So hit us up in our DMs. We're happy to help out and make sure that whatever anybody wants to do, especially if it's in Baltimore, we can play a role in making it as successful as you want it to be.
No, I love that, and we of course will share that information via our email and across social, so people can get in contact with you guys. Again, I'm gonna say thank you very much again for your time. Thank you everybody who joined live, and for those of you who are watching the recording, we appreciate you. Please reach out to Khalil. I think yeah, the things will just be even more blessed and abundant from there. So thank you very much. Have a blessed night, everybody. Take care. Stop the
You
recording. All right.